I never thought one sentence could break me forever. But on the night of my graduation dinner, my mom leaned across the table, looked me dead in the eyes, and whispered, "We wish you were never born." That was the moment something inside me snapped, just not in the way anyone expected. My name is Sienna, and I swear I can still hear the clinking glasses from that night, the fake congratulatory smiles, the cold air around our table long before the words that destroyed me finally dropped. I remember trying to fill the silence. "So, I guess it's official now," I said softly. "I'm finally graduating." Mom didn't look up from her menu. Ham. Dad forced a smile. "Yeah. Good job. Good job." 2 words. That was all I got after 4 years of work. I tried again. "Mrs. Porter said she expects I'll do fine in college. Harper thinks." Mom cut me off with a sigh. "Can we not make everything about you tonight? Your brother had a long day." Mason didn't even look up from his phone. "I'm good." Chloe nudged my elbow gently. "Ignore them, Sienna. It's your night." Before I could answer, Mom shot her a tight smile. "Chloe, sweetheart, stay out of this." Aunt Grace glared at her. "Elaine." "Really?" Mom shrugged. "What?" "I'm just saying." I felt heat rise in my cheeks, but I tried one more time. "I just thought, tonight mattered." Mom finally lifted her head. Her eyes were cold. "You always think everything is about you." Dad whispered, "Elaine, not here." I swallowed hard. "I didn't say that. I just wanted." She leaned forward, voice low and sharp. "We wish you were never born." Everything froze. The plates, the lights, the people around us, all of it blurred. Only her voice stayed clear, slicing into me like a knife. "What?" I whispered. Dad's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Mason stared at the table. Chloe grabbed my hand, whispering, "Sienna, don't listen. She doesn't mean it." Mom scoffed. "I absolutely mean it. If you hadn't come along." "Elaine." Aunt Grace snapped. But Mom didn't stop. "Mark and I had plans. We had a life mapped out. Then suddenly we're stuck with a baby neither of us wanted. And look, it's still costing us peace." Dad rubbed his forehead. "Elaine, enough." "No," she insisted. "She deserves to hear it. Maybe then she'll stop acting like we owe her praise." My throat tightened. "I didn't ask to be born." Mom smirked. "Exactly." Chloe whispered, "Sienna, get up. Please." But I couldn't move. I was plastered to the chair, choking on air. Aunt Grace turned to me. "Honey, you don't have to stay here." Dad finally spoke. "Let's calm down. This is getting out of hand." Mom laughed bitterly. "Of course you'd say that, Mark. You're too weak to say what you really feel." Dad's face turned red. "Don't do this." "Oh, please," she shot back. "She should know what a burden she's been." Mason muttered, "Mom, stop." She snapped, "Don't defend her. You've always been the strong one. She's just too much." Something inside me cracked. "Why do you hate me so much?" Mom folded her arms. "Don't be dramatic." "I'm not," I whispered. "I'm asking." Dad whispered under his breath, "Elaine, please." She shook her head. "I'm tired of pretending. She needs to grow up." My voice broke. "You told me you were proud of me last week." She shrugged. "I lie sometimes." Chloe gasped. "Aunt Elaine." Aunt Grace slammed her hand on the table. "Elaine, that is enough. She is your daughter." Mom's eyes darkened. "Not by choice." That was it, my final blow. My entire chest felt like it collapsed in on itself. I pushed back my chair. The legs screeched loudly, twisting every face in the restaurant toward us. "I'm leaving." Dad murmured, "Sienna, don't make a scene." That almost made me laugh. I was the scene. I looked at him. "Say something. Anything." He just stared at me, silent, ashamed, spineless. I shook my head. "I get it." Chloe stood up. "I'll go with you." I shook her hand off. "No. No one fought for me. Not one of you." Aunt Grace whispered, "I did." "Not enough," I said. It came out harsher than I meant, but the fire inside me was spilling everywhere. I walked out while their voices blurred behind me. Mom calling my name angrily. Aunt Grace telling her to shut up. Mason saying nothing at all. Outside, the air felt sharp against my skin. I reached my car before the tears finally broke. I slid into the seat and let everything inside me collapse. I wish you were never born. The words played again and again, drilling into me until I wasn't sure if I was crying or drowning. By the time the engine hummed beneath me, I wasn't the same girl who walked into that restaurant. Something inside me had shattered, and I didn't know if anything could put me back together again. When I pulled into the driveway that night, I sat in my car for a full minute, staring at the house. It looked exactly the same: white paint, cracked steps, dim porch light, but it felt different. Like the moment I opened the door, something inside would swallow me whole. Still, I forced myself to walk in. Mom was in the living room, folding laundry like nothing had happened. "Oh, you're back," she said casually. I blinked. "That's it." She didn't look up. "What do you want me to say?" Dad glanced over the top of his newspaper. "Let's just keep things calm tonight." "Calm?" I whispered. "You both destroyed me at dinner." Mom gave a small laugh. "Oh please. You're still hung up on that." Mason came down the stairs, eyes avoiding mine. I stepped in front of him. "You heard her. Why didn't you say anything?" He shrugged. "It wasn't my fight." I stared at him. "I'm your sister. And I'm not getting in the middle of Mom's meltdowns," he muttered before brushing past me. I felt the air leave my lungs. "So that's it. Nobody cares." Dad folded the paper slowly. "You're misunderstanding everything. Your mother was emotional. She said she wished I was never born." Mom sighed loudly. "You really love dramatics." "It was a figure of speech." "No, it wasn't." "You meant it." She raised an eyebrow. "If I meant it, do you think you'd be standing here?" Dad pointed toward the stairs. "Just go to your room, Sienna. Rest. Stop seeking attention." Hearing that word, attention, hit me like a slap. "You think that's why I'm hurt? Because I want attention?" Mom crossed her arms. "Your generation cries over everything. Toughen up." I felt something inside me shift, like a fog lifting. This isn't tough love. This is cruelty. She rolled her eyes. There she goes again. I walked upstairs before I said something I couldn't take back. My hands were shaking as I opened my bedroom door. Everything in the room felt heavy: my trophies, my books, the faded photos taped to the wall. I pulled open my dresser drawer looking for pajamas, but something else caught my eye: a yellow envelope tucked in the back corner. My heart skipped. I recognized the handwriting. Grandma Lily. My breath hitched as I pulled it out. I whispered, "Grandma," even though she'd been gone 3 years. I sat on the edge of my bed and opened the envelope carefully. The paper was worn, her handwriting shaky but warm. "My sweet Sienna. If you're reading this, it means you're old enough to understand something important. I've watched how your parents treat you. I've seen the way they talk to Mason differently than they talk to you. I've seen how your light dims when you walk into a room with them. You are not imagining it. One day, please leave that house. Build a life filled with love, not bitterness. You deserve so much more than what they give you. With all my heart. Grandma Lily." Tears blurred the ink until her name smeared. I whispered, "You knew. You really knew." A soft knock broke through my crying. Mrs. Hale, our neighbor, poked her head in. "I saw you come home upset. You okay, sweetheart?" I quickly wiped my tears. "I'm fine." "No, you're not." She stepped inside. I heard yelling earlier. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "It's complicated." She sat beside me. "It always is with them." I froze. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "Your grandma talked to me once. She said she worried about you. Said your parents were too wrapped in their own disappointment to appreciate what they had." My chest tightened. "She told you that?" Mrs. Hale nodded gently. "She loved you more than anything." I clutched the letter again. "She told me to leave someday." Mrs. Hale squeezed my shoulder. "Then one day, you should." After she left, I stared at the words again. Everything I'd ever doubted suddenly felt real. The comparisons. The coldness. The way Mom praised Mason for breathing but rolled her eyes when I achieved anything. All of it was intentional. All of it had been happening for years. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler, my childhood friend. Tyler, heard about dinner. You okay? I typed, no. Not even close. He replied instantly. Want to talk? I stared at the screen. I don't even know where to start. Just start with I'm hurting, he sent. So I did. I'm hurting. And for the first time. I think it's not my fault. As I hit send, I felt something inside me shift again, not breaking this time, but waking up. For the first time in my life, I wasn't blaming myself. I was finally seeing the truth. And truth, no matter how painful, felt like the first step toward freedom. I woke up the next morning still clutching Grandma's letter, the words running through my head like a pulse. Leave one day. Build a life without them. I wasn't ready to leave yet, but something inside me felt sharper, like my heart had grown edges overnight. When I walked downstairs, Mom was already irritated. You left dishes in the sink, she said without looking at me. They were Mason's, I murmured. She waved a hand. You're the girl. Clean it. I didn't move. No. Her head snapped up. Excuse me? I said no. Her eyes narrowed. You're getting bold lately. Maybe dinner got into your head. It opened my eyes, I said quietly. Before she could answer, Dad walked in. Let's keep the peace this morning. I laughed under my breath. There's no peace here. Mom glared at me. Go to your room if you're going to be dramatic. Fine. I went upstairs, but not to hide. I had something to check. My acceptance letter. The one from the university out of state. The one that meant escape. Hope. A future. I opened my drawer. It was empty. My stomach dropped. I searched my desk, my bookshelf, under my bed, nothing. I rushed downstairs. Mom, where's my letter? She didn't even pretend to be confused. I threw it out. My pulse stopped. You, what? She almost smiled. Actually, I tore it up first. Felt symbolic. Why would you do that? Because you're not going anywhere. Dad groaned. Elaine. No, she snapped. She needs to understand her place. No one wants a girl like her failing on their campus. I felt the words slam into me, but this time they didn't break me, they ignited something. Who are you to decide what I'm allowed to dream? I'm your mother, she hissed. You don't act like it. Dad stood between us. Sienna, enough. She's only trying to protect you. From what? I shouted. From success. From freedom. From a life that doesn't revolve around your bitterness. Dad's face reddened. Lower your voice. No. Mason walked in, annoyed. Seriously? It's 8 a.m. You're ruining the peace. I spun toward him. There is no peace. Mom destroys me and you tell me to be quiet about it. Mom barked, stop talking back. No. I yelled. You ripped up the one thing that meant something to me. Why? Because you're scared I'll become someone without you? Her lips curled. You're not capable of becoming anything. The room tilted, but I stayed standing. My voice shook, but it didn't break. You don't get to decide that. Dad grabbed my arm. Go to your room before this gets worse. I pulled away. It's already worse. And that's when the front door opened. Aunt Grace walked in carrying a bag of groceries. I heard yelling from the driveway, what is going on? Mom threw her hands up. Your niece is ungrateful and out of control. No, I said, stepping forward. She tore up my acceptance letter. Aunt Grace froze. Elaine, tell me that's not true. Mom sneered. She's exaggerating. I yelled, I'm not. Dad muttered, this isn't the time. Aunt Grace snapped, Mark, stop. I've watched you enable her cruelty for years. Mom gasped. How dare you? No, Aunt Grace continued. How dare you treat your child like this? And all because you never got over what happened 18 years ago. My heart raced. What are you talking about? Mom's face drained of color. Grace, don't. Aunt Grace looked right at me. Your father had a job offer across the country the week before you were born. A life-changing one. He turned it down because Elaine demanded he stay. She blamed your birth for ruining their future. And she still blames you. I felt the floor shift under me. You're saying, they resented me since the day I was born? Mom shouted, I never said that. Aunt Grace fired back, you didn't have to. You lived it. Dad finally broke. We were young. We didn't know how to handle everything. I shook my head. So you punished me for existing? No one answered. Their silence was my answer. Something inside me snapped cleanly, not breaking, but releasing. I'm done. Mom scoffed. Where are you going? Anywhere that isn't here. Dad grabbed my wrist again. You're not walking out. I pulled free. Watch me. Aunt Grace stepped beside me. You can stay with me. Pack your things. For a moment, I waited for someone to stop me. To apologize. To fight for me. No one did. I walked upstairs, grabbed a bag, stuffed whatever I could into it, and came back down without looking at any of them. Mom muttered, she'll come crawling back. I didn't. Outside, Aunt Grace unlocked the car. You're safe now. For the first time in my life, I believed it. That night, in her guest room, I lay down on the soft bed and whispered into the quiet, I'm free. And silence, gentle, peaceful silence answered me instead of cruelty. For the first time, I slept without fear. Moving in with Aunt Grace felt like stepping into a different universe, quiet mornings, soft music, and someone who actually asked, how are you, and meant it. The first week, she knocked on my door gently. Sienna, breakfast is ready. I opened the door cautiously. You don't have to make breakfast for me. She smiled. I know. I want to. It was strange, being wanted. I started therapy a few days later. Sitting in Dr. Rowan's office, I twisted my hands nervously. I don't know where to start. She said softly, start with what hurts the most. So I did. I told her everything, Mom's insults, Dad's silence, the night of graduation dinner, the ripped letter. I cried until my throat burned. Dr. Rowan handed me tissues. You survived something very painful, she said. But you're not trapped anymore. For the first time, I believed that. I also found a job at a small cafe. Elena, one of the baristas, greeted me with a grin on my first day. You're the new girl. I've got you. I laughed nervously. I'm pretty sure I'll mess everything up. She nudged me. Mess it up with confidence then. Slowly, I built a circle, Kayla from the morning shift, Brielle from the closing crew. People who laughed with me, asked about my day, didn't tear me apart for breathing wrong. Weeks passed, then months. And then, karma began creeping in. One afternoon, Kayla rushed into the cafe waving her phone. Sienna, is this your mom? My stomach tightened. Why? She's on the town forum group. People are dragging her. I walked behind the counter and read the comments. People criticized Mom for belittling Aunt Grace at a community meeting when the topic of supporting struggling families came up. Aunt Grace had calmly spoken the truth about certain parents who mistreat their children behind closed doors. Mom exploded publicly, and the entire town saw her lose control. I whispered, Grace actually said something. Elena nodded. Your aunt is a legend. She didn't use names, but everyone figured out who she meant after your mom blew up. My chest tightened, but not with fear, relief. Someone had finally protected me. Another week later, Mason texted me. Mom and Dad are losing it. Dad almost got fired for yelling at a coworker. Mom won't leave the house. I replied, why are you telling me this? He wrote, because they're miserable. And it's your fault you left. I stared at the screen, feeling nothing but exhaustion. No. It's their fault for how they treated me. He left me on scene. A few days after that, Aunt Grace walked into the living room holding her phone. Your parents are asking around about you. They want to talk. I shrugged. I don't owe them anything. She nodded. You don't. But they came anyway. It was late evening when their car pulled into the driveway. I saw the headlights through the window and froze. Aunt Grace whispered, "Do you want me to send them away?" "No," I said quietly. "I can handle it." Mom was already crying when I opened the door. "Sienna," she choked out, please talk to us." Dad looked worn out, older. "We're sorry," he said weakly. "Things have been hard." I stood in the doorway, not inviting them in. "Hard?" Mom reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "We didn't mean what we said," she insisted. "We were stressed. Everything has been falling apart since you left." I swallowed. "You mean since your targets left?" She shook her head violently. No, honey, we love you. Don't call me honey." She broke down sobbing. "Just come home. Please. We can fix everything." Dad added, "We were wrong. We see that now." I felt Aunt Grace step behind me, silent support at my back. I looked at my parents, two people who gave me life but never love. Two people who watched me crumble for years and called it discipline. Two people who grabbed for me only when their world fell apart. Mom whispered, "We need you." And I said the words I once begged someone to say to me. "I don't hate you. But I won't let you hurt me anymore." Mom's face twisted. "So, that's it? You're abandoning us?" "No," I whispered. "I'm choosing myself." Dad's voice cracked. "Please." But I stepped back inside and placed my hand on the door. "Goodbye." Mom sobbed harder. Dad lowered his head. And I closed the door. My legs shook, my heart raced, but I'd never felt stronger. Aunt Grace wrapped her arms around me. "I'm proud of you." I leaned into her, tears falling silently. "I feel free." She whispered, "You are." For the first time, the word free didn't feel like a fantasy, it felt real, solid, mine. I wasn't the unwanted daughter anymore. I was the woman who walked away. The woman who rebuilt herself. The woman who survived. And that was the justice I needed.